Hello, guys. In this episode, we dive deep into the life of a figure whose monumental achievements were for too long eclipsed by the passage of time and the later, more widely recognized voyages of others. In the vast, unforgiving expanse of 17th century Siberia, where icy winds scoured endless tundras and uncharted rivers snaked towards unknown seas, a figure of extraordinary resilience and audacious courage carved a path through history, only to be tragically swallowed by its shifting sands. Semyon Dezhnev, circa 1605 to 1673, a Russian Cossack and fur trader, accomplished a feat so monumental, so utterly groundbreaking, that its true significance remained a profound deed of unacknowledged discovery for over a century. In 1648, he navigated the treacherous, ice-choked strait separating Asia from North America, a passage now famously known as the Bering Strait, an astonishing 80 years before Vitus Bering, the Danish explorer, received the credit for its discovery. His voyage was an epic of survival against unimaginable odds, a testament to the raw tenacity of the early Russian pioneers in the wildest reaches of the unexplored world. Dezhnev was a man of the Siberian frontier, a pro-Mishlenik, fur trader and hunter, and a Cossack, driven by the lure of lucrative sable furs and the relentless eastward expansion of the Russian Empire. He was no aristocrat or academic, but a hardened pragmatist, accustomed to the brutal realities of the wilderness. By the mid-17th century, rumors of a great river, the Anada, rich in walrus ivory, a highly prized commodity, often called fish tooth, and sable, circulated among the hardy adventurers. More tantalizingly, whispers spoke of a great stone nose, a formidable cape that marked the easternmost point of Asia, beyond which lay the vast, unexplored ocean. The ambition was to find a sea route around this cape, connecting the Arctic Ocean to the Pacific, a northern passage to the fabled riches of the East. This was a brutal, lawless frontier, where survival depended on cunning, strength, and an almost suicidal bravery, an act of human endurance against nature's fury and the constant threat of violent encounters with indigenous tribes fiercely defending their territories. In June 1648, Dezhnev embarked on what would become one of the most remarkable, yet tragically unheralded, voyages of discovery in history. He joined a small fleet of 7 koch vessels, small, sturdy, single-masted wooden boats, designed for Arctic waters, often with a rounded hull to resist ice pressure, commanded by Fedor Alexeyev Popov, a wealthy merchant. Their mission was to sail east from the Kolyma River, round the Great Stone Nose, and reach the Anada. This was a journey into the absolute unknown, a gamble against the most extreme elements, with no reliable maps and only vague rumors to guide them. The voyage was a living hell, a relentless test of human limits. The Arctic summer was fleeting and treacherous. The seas were choked with immense, shifting ice floes, and violent, unpredictable storms were constant companions, capable of swallowing ships whole. One by one, the flimsy koch vessels were battered, swamped, and lost to the merciless ocean. Their crews either drowned in the freezing waters or marooned on desolate, icy shores, left to face certain death by starvation or exposure. Their immense suffering, the constant threat of hypothermia, scurvy, and brutal encounters with various Chukchi and Eskimo tribes, who understandably viewed these Russian intruders with hostility, was the unspoken, agonizing price of exploration. Dezhnev's own vessel, against all odds, pressed on, a ghost ship battling the elements. He was the first known European to sail through the strait, passing the very cape that would later bear his name, Cape Dezhnev. He meticulously observed the 2 large islands in the strait, now known as the Diomede Islands, and, crucially, noted that the land to the east, Alaska, was clearly visible, thus definitively proving, for the first time, that Asia and North America were separated by water, not connected by a land bridge as many had theorized. His ship was eventually wrecked south of the Anada River, likely near the Kamchatka Peninsula, in a violent, final storm that scattered the last remnants of the fleet. Dezhnev, along with a handful of emaciated survivors, endured a brutal, months-long trek through the frozen, uninhabited wilderness, battling starvation, severe frostbite, and the constant threat of hostile encounters, eventually reaching the Anada River in the spring of 1649. His terse, understated account of this overland journey, a testament to his sheer, unyielding will to live, is as harrowing as the sea voyage itself, painting a vivid picture of unimaginable hardship. Despite this monumental achievement, a geographical revelation of global significance, Dezhnev's name remained largely unknown to the wider world for well over a century, a profound historical misdeed that robbed him of his rightful place in the pantheon of great explorers. Why was such a pivotal discovery forgotten, buried in the bureaucratic dust of a distant empire? Firstly, Dezhnev was not a cartographer or a grand expedition leader in the mold of later European explorers like Cook or Magellan. He was a pragmatic fur trader, a rough-hewn Cossack, and his reports focused on practical matters vital to the Russian state. Potential fur routes, the locations of valuable walrus ivory, the demographics of native populations, and the collection of yasak, fur tribute. His detailed accounts of the strait, including its width, the presence of islands, and the visible landmass to the east, were written in humble pisky, official reports, to local authorities in Yakutsk. These documents, though precise and invaluable, were often buried deep within the vast, disorganized, and often neglected archives of Siberia, far from the intellectual centers of Moscow or the curious minds of European geographers and monarchs. There was no grand publication, no fanfare, just a dutiful report filed away. Secondly, his journey was not immediately followed up. The remote, brutal nature of the region, the lack of immediate economic incentive beyond furs, which were already being acquired, and the sheer, almost insurmountable difficulty of the passage meant that no subsequent expeditions confirmed his route for decades. The focus of Russian expansion shifted south and west, leaving the Arctic frontier largely unmolested by further systematic exploration. The knowledge simply lay dormant. Finally, and most infuriatingly, the grander, more organized, and meticulously documented expeditions of Vitus Bering in 1728 and 1741, sponsored by the ambitious Peter the Great, were precisely what the European scientific community understood and valued. Bering's voyages, though later, were meticulously planned, widely publicized, and directly connected to the burgeoning European Enlightenment's thirst for geographical knowledge. Bering's name became synonymous with the strait, effectively eclipsing Dezhnev's earlier, solitary triumph. The point was that a man who truly discovered the strait, who endured unimaginable suffering to prove its existence, received no credit, his name and his incredible journey relegated to the dusty corners of forgotten bureaucratic files, while another, decades later, claimed the glory and the immortalization. It was a profound injustice, a cruel twist of historical fate. Despite the lack of recognition for his greatest feat, Dezhnev continued to serve the Russian Empire in Siberia for many more years. He led further expeditions into uncharted territories, diligently collected yasak, fur tribute, from indigenous peoples, and played a role in establishing new settlements and trading posts. He was a tough, pragmatic survivor of the Siberian frontier, a man driven by duty and the practicalities of survival, not by a desire for fame or glory. He died in Moscow in 1673, his greatest achievement still largely unrecognized by the world at large, a quiet hero fading into the vastness of the empire he helped expand. It was not until the mid-18th century, primarily through the painstaking efforts of German-Russian historian Gerhard Friedrich Müller, that Dezhnev's original reports were meticulously rediscovered in the Yakutsk archives. Müller's rigorous research and subsequent publications finally brought Dezhnev's incredible voyage to light, giving him the credit he so profoundly deserved. In 1898, the easternmost point of Asia was officially named Cape Dezhnev, a belated but fitting tribute to the man who first rounded its formidable Great Stone Nose. Semyon Dezhnev's life is a thrilling, deeply poignant testament to the audacity and tenacity of the human spirit. His deeds were not those of moral failing, but the profound injustice of historical oversight, the brutal cost of pioneering in an unforgiving land, and the quiet heroism of a man whose monumental discovery was lost to the world for far too long. He remains a powerful symbol of the unsung heroes, the forgotten trailblazers whose courage reshaped our understanding of the globe, even if their names were initially etched only in the ice and the wind, waiting for history to finally catch up.